So I'm gonna start off with I think an appropriate song for a mellow, rainy, early day. Thank you for being here on time, by the way.
Broncar Lee, everybody. That's just a tiny, tiny taste. He is a one-man band, so I'm going to fully introduce him later. But welcome. How's everybody today? You got up early. Congratulations. Congratulations. We had to set our clocks ahead, but I actually woke up refreshed, so I must be in the zone. We have a great service for you, and we're going to start like we do, singing. So on your feet if you're able. We've got Broncar going to sit in as the drum, so be sure you listen to that. And we're going to do Stand, an old Karen Drucker favorite. And yes, you can put your hands together. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Go ahead and take that peace, love, and joy and turn to your left and right. Give a warm handshake or hug to your neighbor. All right, come on back. I want you to put your hands together. We are making a new world now. Here we go. Let there be peace. I am a stand Who needs drums, right? That was fun. Thank you.
See you, man. Welcome home. Welcome home, each and every one of you. We're making a new world right now, and I tell you, I'm just already thrilled and happy with the service. When I knew Bronco was going to be here, he plays every instrument in the orchestra, but I said, I have to have saxophone. And there it was, saxophone, so everything is complete with the world. You can all go home now. Everything's fine. No, you're going to have to listen to me today, and I promise not to do any beatboxing today because I'll just be spit all over all of you. Oh, welcome home. You may have seen the quote that's on the marquee for our series that we're in right now. I want to refresh your memory of what it says. There is no power greater than a community discovering what it cares about. No power on this earth, on this earthly journey, greater than a community discovering what it cares about. Yes, we are making a new world now by what we think, what we feel, by what we share when we all come together as family and as community. Take a deep breath with me. And on the exhale, allow yourself to sink into the sanctuary of this beautiful moment. Closing your outer eyes and opening your inner eyes. Let us come to the highest and deepest awareness that the presence of God is the only power at work here. And that when we come together as cells within the body of that one presence and that one power, something magical, mystical, and beautiful happens. Every thought that we are holding right now collectively and individually is transforming the planet. That's our foundation of the house that we're building today. That's how important you are. That's how important we are. And so we take the vibrations of those thoughts of love, of peace and of joy, of harmony, of balance, of equanimity, of healing and forgiveness, and 1,000 things more. And we allow them to live at the very level of our cells, our soul, that they may live in the outer as well. And so we say, thank you, God. Thank you, infinite presence doing business as this gathering today. And we send the energy of these words, these songs, far beyond our walls and our windows in a deep recognition that regardless of religious differences, economic differences, whether you got up an hour earlier or you just decided to stay in bed, we belong to each other. And as we recognize that, all that needs to be healed is healed. All that needs to be transformed is then transformed. That's how important this moment in time is. And so I say thank you for keeping your divine appointment to be here today. There's no small thing that happens here today. And so we say thank you, God, for all of this and 1,000 things more. May we be a blessing. May we receive the blessing. And may we know that it's all God and it's all good. So for this and so much more, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Together, thank you, God. And so it is, and so we simply let it be. Amen. I love it when we just pray a little bit that there's more people in the room. Let's pray again. Everybody's getting here. Watch the people that come an hour late from now, and when they walk in the room, I'll give you a cue, and you all look back and go, we want to welcome anybody who is here for the very first time today, and we want you to know that whoever you are, wherever you may be on your spiritual path, you are welcome here. More importantly, you are welcome here. We behold the light that you are, we behold the magnificence that you are, and we behold the gift that you have brought into this space today. Our ushers have a flower, and that flower is a symbol that we're all on a path of blooming. In this great garden of humanity, we're all blooming, stretching, growing, learning, and we're doing it together. Attached to the flower is a little bit of information about Unity North. We want to get it into your hands. We just ask if you are here for the first time, you just raise your hand up really high so they can find you, and the rest of us would love to give you a rousing round of applause. Welcome. Over here, come on. Wilma, right there we go. One more on this side. We want you to know that you are welcome here, and we appreciate what you have brought into this space. If you have any questions about what happens here at Unity North, our New Beginnings team would love to answer those questions that you have at the kiosk in the back of the room, maybe help you feel a little bit more welcome. But thank you. Nobody's here by accident today. You're not here by accident, but by a divine appointment. And I see that we have what I would consider to be the newest member of the congregation also in this space for the first time. That's when I said welcome home to Dr. Robert Love. I don't know if Amanda's here too. She's kind of responsible for what the newest member. But will you stand up and tell us the divine appointment that has happened in that baby carriage? Let's give some love to Jackson Xavier Love. Welcome to Earth. Welcome to Unity North. We are so grateful to have you here. And maybe Dr. Love will be sharing the platform with me next week. Maybe, possibly, Jackson could join us as well so you could see firsthand. Julie, what do we got?
Well, we got a couple of things. Before I formally introduce Broncar here, we have two cars that you're going to have to move. I apologize, but you're in where the cones are. So I've got license plate numbers to shame you. No, I'm kidding. If you could just move the cars, we need to leave that space open so people can get in and out. This is down behind Holy Grounds. So it is a Prius TJR002. If you could please move your car. and a Fit, a nice, beautiful blue Fit, CF17133. If you guys could just move, you can slink out. Everybody shut their eyes. And if you could just move your car away from the cones, we would really appreciate it so people can get in and out safely. Okay, so now I have the distinct pleasure of formally introducing Broncar Lee. Our guest artist today, his unique background includes touring as a ringmaster in a European circus. Yep. Appearing on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, being featured in a Super Bowl commercial, and beatboxing with his son that went viral and received, wait for it, over 200 million views. I think most of you, if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube. It's absolutely adorable. He's an author, keynote speaker, and musician who plays over 50 instruments. He's deeply fascinated by the power of sound and music and the ability it has to heal our bodies and our minds. He is here today to share his love and passion with us. Please welcome back to the platform, Broncar Lee.
Thanks, Julie. Good morning again. So some of you, yeah, you may look at me and be like, I know that guy, and I would just go, yeah, all the synapses are firing. They're like, oh, yeah. So welcome, Jackson. That's a great tool to use with your little one, beatboxing. Yes, it's perfect for diaper changes, etc. Fill in the blank, yeah. Okay, sorry, let's etch a sketch that out of our minds right there. Okay. Now, I have a couple of friends with me today that I brought some of my instruments, and as Julie mentioned, I love sound and the ability that music has to heal, to stimulate, to relax. It is the atmospheric navigator for our lives, even our voices. We communicate in rhythm, in melody. Music and vibration are such an integral part of the human existence. Our hearts that are beating within us, our breath, our conversation, our walking, the tempo of life. And so that was me. I did that with my voice. You just didn't see it. It's like a bad kung fu movie. So the first instrument I want to introduce you to today is an instrument called the handpan. And it's a very magical instrument. Could you roll off a little of the low end on that? It might ring out on that. Thank you, Mike. Round of applause from Mike, our amazing sound engineer. Now, this instrument's called a handpan, and as much as I love that name, I just don't feel like it does it justice. So I was doing I just can't help but play while I'm talking. It's so magical. I was doing a healthcare conference, and I walked off the stage, and this engineer came up to me, and he said, "What was the name of that really cool metallic echo drum?" And I said, "Metallic echo drum." So I renamed this instrument from handpan, to metallic echo drum, and it's an acronym for MED, so you gotta get your meds, a little bit of sound healing action going on. Yeah, right? Yeah. Mildly witty, delightfully averagely witty, yes, okay. Here's what it sounds like. Thank you. Thanks. Oh, wow. Never got a standing ovation for hand pan. Metallic echo drum, sorry.
Fantastic. That is so beautiful. I've been listening to him play all over Facebook every time he puts a new video out. To have it in person, it's just, doesn't it feel good? 200 million views. I want 200 million views. I've been speaking here at Unity North for about 7 years, and I think I've got 12 views. And 5 of them are my mother. Maybe I need to do more when I'm speaking to go like this. And then the vibration will get out to your heart. Thank you for the gift that you are. And he's going to be doing meditation with that as well. It's pretty amazing and wonderful. I always like to start with something fun and funny. So I was reading the newspaper the other day. And in the center of Dublin, there is a convent. Any chance to have an Irish accent, I'll make sure I have it there. But the nuns were concerned and worried that the Mother Superior was on her last legs, that she was going to be transitioning to meet her Maker, to meet her Father in the sky. And so they were all gathered around her, and Sister Margarita brought to the Mother a glass of milk, and she tried to get her to drink the milk, and the Mother Superior kept saying, no, no, I don't want it. And then Sister Margarita, she had a thought. And she remembered that there was a bottle of whiskey in the kitchen that had been given to the convent last Christmas that had been unopened. So she went and she opened the bottle and she put a little bit of whiskey in. And then she put a little bit more, and filled the milk glass all the way up, and then she put a little bit more. And she brought the glass of milk to the Mother Superior and she gave it to her. The mother took a sip. And then she took another sip. And another sip until the entire glass of milk was gone. And she leaned back and she closed her eyes, and the nuns knew she's awfully close to the other side. So all the nuns gathered around her and they leaned in close to hear her final parting words of wisdom. And as they leaned in, the Mother Superior opened her eyes, and all she had to say before she transitioned was, "Never sell the cow." Never sell the cow. Today we're going to talk about the unsellables, the things that are important to our spiritual path that we never want to sell, the things that are rock solid in our life that we do not give up and will not give up, the non-negotiables in life. Today is the second week in a 5-part series based upon collective consciousness. What is collective consciousness? A brief review for those of you who didn't make it last week. We missed you. Collective consciousness, at the point of view individually, is all the thoughts, all the feelings, all the experiences, all the emotions, all the opinions and judgments and relationships that you've had since you entered this earthly realm. They're living at the point of view, but there's even more to the iceberg underneath the surface that lives at the point of view. Because at the point of humanity, there is an accumulation of every single person's thoughts, feelings, emotions, experiences, opinions, and judgments that have lived since the beginning of time. It is driving the boat, driving the bus of our human experience. And a part of that collective consciousness is driving your life as well, depending on how conscious you are, how awake you might be. And here's the thing, it's so beautiful to remember today that as it is above, so shall it be below. That which is driving the collective consciousness of the human race as we know it today is driving the individual life as well. And they are so inextricably connected to each other that every thought you are thinking is also affecting the greater whole. As it is within, so shall it be without. As it is above, so shall it be below. We cannot separate from that. Unity is there for a reason. Oneness, oneness, oneness. And energy is being exchanged in this now moment. And every layer between the macrocosm of humanity and the microcosm of you, there are layer upon layer upon layers. Family consciousness. How many people have a family consciousness that you've had to transcend? Or maybe you haven't. Cultural consciousness. Ethnic consciousness. National consciousness. We are affecting every single layer of this existence that is the human race. So you think the spiritual work that you're doing when you come and you study and you stretch and you learn and you grow is only affecting you. I'm sorry to tell you that you are a part, positively or negatively, about changing the face of the planet. The paradigm that we live in today is either a byproduct of negativity or positivity based on what you're thinking right now. Now, that can be overwhelming, right? That's how important you are. Do you know that Unity North is a collective consciousness? It's so easy to come into this environment and talk about what's happening collectively, what I like, what I don't like. I want more of this, I want less of that. You know what? This product, this collective consciousness that is Unity North is a byproduct of the thought that you thought when you came into this room today. Not me. I brought my thought, but my thought is only one, your thought is only one, and when we come together, we create a whole, a holistic environment. So the thought that you brought into this room is creating the experience today as much as mine. I just get to talk more. More important than the thought that you came in here with is the thought that you go out of here with. Because that thought is vitally important to what's happening outside this small little microcosm of community. The thought that you leave here today is vitally important to the success of the human race long after we are all gone. Breathe that in for a second. Sometimes it's easier to focus out here, isn't it? This needs to be fixed. Not just at my church. Let's talk about the government. We said last week, if you spot it, you got it. Last week, we considered taking responsibility for every single layer of this thing we call life. To quit blaming your family and your parents and take responsibility to changing the family environment. To quit blaming the work environment and to walk into the environment taking full and complete responsibility for how that field is going to show up. Not anybody else's behavior. The only one that matters is you. Last week, we talked about the collective pathos, the emotional field. And I was shocked, I don't know if you were shocked, when I said, what do you think is the dominant emotion, the go-to emotion of the human race? And before we heard love, we heard fear and anger and resentment and doubt 8 times in the room before we got to love. I thought that's a really interesting wake-up call, isn't it? Maybe something to pay attention to. And we said, let's take responsibility for being the change that we want to see. Let's take responsibility for being the love that we want to see. And quit blaming everybody else on the outside. Today we're going to talk about the collective ethos. Now, what is ethos? I'll tell you in a minute, but I want to give you a forewarning. Here at Unity North, we are less about preaching and more about teaching. We don't like to get near that line, but today we might get as close as I ever get to preaching. But before you get defensive and get up and leave the room, I'm implementing what I just talked about. I am preaching from the standpoint of what I need to clean up. I am preaching from the energy of living by demonstration, follow me by demonstration. What I've noticed is in the field that is Richard, that I'm also noticing in the field that's out here. And because we are intrinsically linked, it'll clean up in the field, but I got to take care of the house here first and foremost. So what is ethos? Here's what I have painted with a very broad paintbrush today to describe what ethos is for today's talk. Let's read the words together. Character, trustworthiness, values, integrity, morality, principles, standards, ideals, habits. Uh-oh, the minister's getting really close to that preaching line. The reality is it's just a teaching. That's all. It's information. Take it or leave it for whatever you want. But I want to talk about that. Ethos is a collection of all these things and 1,000 more things that we say are important. We give good lip service to the fact that they are the non-negotiables in our life. They are the go-to energies that inform and guide the life that we are living today. They are the compass that we use to guide our lives, and they are the rock that we stand on or don't stand on, individually and collectively. And again, the energy is linked from one side of the macro to the other side of the micro. So we're either standing on a rock of ethical conviction or we waver on shifting sands. The master teacher Jesus put that statement this way. In the book of Matthew chapter 7, verse 24, if you work these words into your life, you are like a smart carpenter who built his house on solid rock. Now he's talking about the words that he was sharing leading up to this scripture. I'm talking specifically about the characteristics of the Christ that we use to define ethos. Rain poured down, the river flooded, a tornado hit, but nothing moved that house. It was fixed to the rock. But if you don't work them into your life, you are like a stupid carpenter who built his house on the sandy beach. When a storm rolled in and the waves came up, it collapsed like a house of cards. That's from the Message Bible, thus the contemporary language. I like it better, the way it reads, than King James Version. And it actually puts it right in front of me, face to face. I can contextualize that in my life today. A stupid carpenter or a smart carpenter. Guess what? We are responsible for the life that we are building. You are responsible for the life that you are building. And if we take collective responsibility, we are responsible for the life that we are experiencing today, good, bad, or otherwise. I want to channel my grandfather. My grandfather was my hero. Carl Buck was an amazing, strong man who taught me so very much without any kind of religious context. But one thing my grandfather taught me, and everybody in San Martin, California knew, is he was a man of his word. My grandfather never once had to sign a contract. Because everybody, when 10 counties around that farm that he was running, knew his handshake was his bond. Knew that his word was as good as gold. That if Carl Buck gave his word, there was going to be nothing that would keep him from following that word. No matter how difficult it might be, no matter how much it was a bad or a good deal, Carl Buck would be there because he was true to his word. I've tried to emulate that. I'm only half the man that my grandfather was, but he still lives within me as a rock of integrity, a rock with a moral compass that was so profound that it would not waver. So I want to submit to you today the true ethos that we are seeking as a spiritual community is one that stands during times of high stress. Breathe that in. Are you standing on a rock that is absolutely true when all hell is breaking loose and the world's falling apart? The storms come, the winds blow, and all of a sudden when you think, maybe I could fudge that just a little bit. Yeah, nobody's really watching, nobody's really paying attention, so maybe I could just change it a little bit and nobody will pay any attention or be any the wiser. There's only one person that needs to be the wiser, and that's the divine essence of you that is contributing to the whole of humanity. You get to go to bed with yourself when you have fudged your ethical standard and shifted with the sands like a piece of driftwood going here and there and everywhere based upon what has happened for the day, based upon how somebody's showing up in the relationship. Today I want to ask you all the questions. Do our actions match our spiritual belief system? What is the one thing? It's not a trick question. What is the one thing that if you were to say this is what unity is all about, this is the one thing that is the most important? Heard love. What is the one thing that unity is all about? Oneness. Oneness. So are we, with our day-to-day actions, living in congruity with the idea of oneness as the most important thing, or are we out of congruity? Have we made exceptions to where we can find the face of God? Have we made exceptions to where kindness and love and compassion should be shared and non-judgment should be the dominant energy? Have we made exceptions? Am I leading my life in alignment with a personal code of ethics, or am I bending the rules to meet the circumstance? Breathe that in for a second. A sincere code of ethics or ethos cannot be relational, it cannot be situational, and it cannot be circumstantial, or it is a house built upon sand, and I'm nothing more than a stupid carpenter. The stress hits, the death happens, the bankruptcy happens, the divorce happens, and I'm suddenly off the rock because it really wasn't built on rock to begin with. And now I behave differently to my ex-wife. I behave differently to the banker. I behave differently to the surgeon or the doctor that's coming into the room with the bad news. That's a house built upon sand. My trustworthiness must be based upon an unwavering commitment to integrity that is integrational. Integrational. I am living in every cell of my being from a place of moral integrity, with oneness, with compassion, with kindness, with love, with generosity. Whatever it is for you, it cannot move based upon the circumstance or the person that's in front of you today. Breathe that in for a second. You know, Jesus, our master teacher, our way shower, what did he tell us? Love your enemies just like you love your friends. Are we in congruity with that? I'm just going to say We might want to take a look at that. Love your enemies just like you love your friends. That was an ethos laid out by our elder brother, our master teacher. Not just for me individually, but for us collectively as a group who supposedly follow his teachings. You know, sometimes our ethos is less incongruity than perhaps we want to look at. And the great philosophers that we've been studying, Socrates a couple of months ago, Aristotle today, said the unexamined life is not worth living. If you're not willing to examine your life and where you are out of congruity with what we have just talked about, don't come here anymore and waste your time. But let me know that the heaven, that you know, that us know together, that the heaven that we're all seeking is on the other side of that self-inventory. Where am I out of congruity? It's so easy to judge everybody else around the world and then not take any responsibility. If you spot it, you have got it. Sometimes our ethos needs to be just simply looked at. Gandhi absolutely knew this as well. So those of you who don't necessarily consider Jesus your guide, let's look at Gandhi. What did Gandhi have to say about it? Let's put that quote up there together. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. The ethos is all about how trustworthy you are as a speaker to persuade the people that you're with that you have any credibility whatsoever. That's what ethos is about. How credible is Union North environment if we don't take the ideas in this space and then go out there and live them out there? It's actually the worst marketing campaign that we could ever have as a community. If we're not living the principles that we teach, if I'm not living the principles that I teach, guess what? Words on the street, that place is fake. That place is inauthentic. Or they say they follow Jesus, but they don't really follow Jesus because they hate me. Because they've pushed me aside. Because my path is different. My religious path, my political path is different than theirs. And so let's just fight against it. They don't really live what it is they're teaching. Happiness is an ethos built upon the rock of congruity. And suffering, the opposite of joy and happiness, is an ethos that's built on shifting sands. It's all a byproduct of what's going on the inside. If your life is working, good. Keep doing what you're doing on the inside. If it isn't working and something's out of alignment and you don't like it, go home to headquarters and say, what is the cleanup work that I need to do? Because as within, so without. Law, spiritual law. As it is within, so it is without. So if I don't like what I'm seeing, I need to get quiet, get still, hold a little bit more meditation and go, forgive me. Where have I been out of congruity? And that cleanup work is not just in the moment. Forgiveness is the cornerstone of Jesus' ministry. I need to go back, just like a 12-step program, and make amends to where I have taken the energy of love and compassion and went sideways with it. It is vitally important. Just like in a 12-step program, we go back and clean up that which we put into motion that is absolutely contextualizing life as we know it today. And because it is intrinsically linked, if it's happening at the level of the government, it's happening at the level of you. Be a part of a solution. And a solution is not to go, why don't they? Why shouldn't they? That person should change. That party should change. That is a waste of time and a great distraction, a great game of distraction from facing our own element of out of integrity with the ethos. Because the ethos of the whole is intrinsically linked to the ethos of the individual. On that note, the government is probably the easiest one right now in our current state of affairs. And so it's the most obvious and current evidence of our collective national ethos. This is what T.S. Eliot had to say about that. Let's read this together. The general ethos of the people they have to govern determines the behavior of the politicians. Anybody else watch the news and have opinions? Anybody hear somebody say something who's got a different opinion than you philosophically, theologically, religiously, and politically, and you go to a place of judgment about him or her or it or that? How would it be if we took complete and total responsibility for the ethos that we are creating that allowed the government that we have today to stand? And I'm not talking, this is a nonpartisan statement. This is not about people. This is about a system. That the system is a product of the ethos that we are playing here, an ethos of duality. And let's just get real. Let's get real with each other. If I am playing any sense of duality in my life, I am contributing to the duality that is informing our government today, that is informing the landscape of the world scene. That's hard to swallow. That's a bitter pill to swallow. You just take responsibility for what you need to take responsibility for. I'm going to preach to myself and say, I got some cleanup work to do because I have held some people at bay. I have held some politicians at bay. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. As long as you behave the way I think you should behave. As long as you show up the way I think you should show up, then I'll see the face of God. I am out of congruity with the truth. I am out of congruity, no matter how difficult it might be. I am out of integrity with what I said is the ethical standard of my life as a minister, as a spiritual seeker. I cannot and will not sell the cow of my integrity. Jesus, I believe that our nation has come very, very close to forgetting this statement. A Christian nation, by the way, founded upon Christian principles, has forgotten, love your enemies as your friends. Breathe that in. Love your enemies as your friends. And Unity would say, you have no enemies. If you've made an enemy, you're living in a system of duality. Go home to headquarters, get still, get quiet, and go, I got some cleanup work to do. You know, Jesus also said that if you're going to the altar to have an expression and experience of God, if you got problems with your brother and your brother has a problem with you, go home. Take care of the business. 12-step knows that. I think we all could take a clue from 12-step. Some of the greatest healings I've ever seen happen in 12-step programs because they go home and they clean up business. They take care of business. And so today, I'm making a vow and a sacred pledge as your minister to clean up where I need to clean up, to own what I need to own, to ask forgiveness where I need to ask for forgiveness, and then follow the master teacher's teaching because I understand that I won't have access to God until I do so. The heaven that I'm seeking, that we're all seeking, I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to have it until I take responsibility for my family. Don't place the blame on my father or my grandfather. Until I take responsibility for my nation and realize that if I don't like what's happening in the White House or I don't like what's happening in Congress, I don't like what's happening on the inside of me that sits there at this TV and screams and yells and judges. And by the way, I listen to CNN and Fox, and I'm yelling at all of them. So the ethos, good, bad, or otherwise, that I notice in the outer circle might be evidence of something I need to clean up. Yes, go ahead and keep pointing fingers. Go ahead and keep shining a light on where things need to be cleaned up, but only if you have done the inner work to be in congruity with that which you were calling out. Let me shine a light there, but forget that there's darkness happening in my own heart and my own mind. It tends to make live in me, in every cell of my being. Let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with me. It is not your responsibility. It is my responsibility. Say that with me. It is not your responsibility. It is my responsibility. It is not their responsibility. It is our responsibility. Together, it is not their responsibility. It is our responsibility. You see, somebody once said, I don't know who said it, I think it's been attributed to 500 different people. Today, it'll be attributed to Richard Burdick. Let's put that quote up there together. How you do anything is how you do everything, especially under stress. I'm a good person at church. I love everybody at church. Everybody is the face of God at church. And then I go to the family reunion. Church is no longer a part of the equation. I'm standing on sand, and guess what? Your family's going to show up the way you expect them to show up because you're showing up. And when you show up with waffling morals, waffling integrity, you're speaking loudly to the world. You're extending a wonderful invitation. It's okay for you to show up in my life without integrity. Let's all celebrate it. Let's all dance on the sand together and go into the quicksand together. And I'm saying stand on the rock and be the same person at church that you are with your family, that you are when you're watching the news, that you are in the middle of traffic in Atlanta, that you are with the difficult person that you just want to pull their hair out. You are the face of God, must be a rock that we stand on. Here's what I know, that how we manage our disagreements, how we manage the difficult moments of life will do more to uncover the ethos within you than how you manage your agreements. How we process the difficult people in our lives will do a heck of a lot more to expose our true ethos than how we deal with the people that just love us unconditionally. I heard it once said, and Susie and I talked about this statement a lot this week because I don't think she quite agrees. Susie is my wife. But it kicked off a wonderful dialogue. A person who is nice to you and is not nice to the waitress is not a nice person, plain and simple. A person who is sweet to you and not sweet to the clerk at the grocery store is not a sweet person. The person who is loving to you but is not loving when they talk about a difference of opinion, somebody with a difference of opinion is not a loving person. And let me be really clear, that is not a partisan statement. It is a system problem that we have. And today, with the collective ethos, I'm saying take responsibility to be the solution, to be the change, to be the love, to be the kindness. And if you make exceptions to where you were loving and you were kind, let me just be so bold. I'll make it here. If I profess to be a loving and kind person, and I am unkind at any place in my life, I am out of integrity. It doesn't mean beat yourself up. It means own it. I want to make a different choice here. And I guarantee you, you'll turn on the news at some point, and you'll see a shift. That's how powerful you are. Because layer upon layer upon layer, your family will be different. Cobb County will be different. I'm proud of the work that we do here in Cobb County. You know, we're kind of an enigma. Have you noticed that in Cobb County? We think a little bit differently here. We're not the typical religious system that you see in Cobb County. But because we were showing up in love, we're making a difference. And I see Cobb County shifting and changing. The interactions I have with my Baptist friends, my Methodist friends, and let me tell you, I'm standing strong for the conviction of an ethos with the Methodist Church right now. And what I see is that Cobb County, they're buying into the system of love and compassion that we are holding here and no longer isolating or pushing anybody away. I believe we're making a difference, but we will make no difference if we waffle on what we stand for in this community. One of our wise high schoolers at our YOU program once stood at this platform and said, "We're all just players in each other's drama. I'm a player in your drama, and you are a player in my drama. And my job and my only job on this planet is to manage my own drama." Trying to micromanage your play is a great game of distraction from looking at my own lack of integrity. Jesus said this in Matthew chapter 7. Let's go ahead and put it up there. Together. "Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye?" I need to take care of my own house. And to know that by taking care of my own house, I'm taking care of the macrocosm as well. You know, we deal with cause and effects here at Unity. And there's all this dialogue about what's happening in the world of effects. Everything out here is an effect of a greater cause. I'm saying we need to put ourselves squarely into the shoes of being a greater cause. Nothing changes, nothing shifts with belaboring and moaning and growing about the cause that's out here. Everything changes when you add one small drop of a different paradigm, a different idea, a different notion, a truer, more kind, more loving presence and spirit into the environment of the macrocosm. Handle your own play, and to know that it is more important and more powerful and potent than anything you're doing out here. Now, still do out here, because action is vitally important. But the action is contextualized by an integrous rock, a moral compass of truth, of oneness, of compassion. You know, we talk about manifestation a lot, and I'll be honest with you, I get some critique in this community sometimes. Surprise, surprise. Why don't you talk about manifestation more? All the other New Thought ministers are talking about manifestation. The secret, all about manifestation. And I just want to answer that question with all the love that I have in my heart. Every single week, I come up here and I talk about manifestation. The manifestation that matters. Not the house. I don't get up here and talk about the house that you're going to create, the bank account that you want to create, the relationship you want to create. We can dance all... We can talk for days about the world of effects, but the world of effects are manifested first in mind and in heart and in spirit. So every week I come up here and say, do the inner work. It's about manifestation. As it is within, it will be without. And if you are out of integrity within, the car is going to be leaving you wanting very, very quickly. Sure, we can talk about how to manifest the bank account, the relationship, and the house, and the money. You're going to be suffering because shifting sand is the place of suffering. Joy and happiness and true prosperity is when what I am thinking and what I am saying and what I am doing is in congruity. They match. And I'm asking us with the collective ethos to take full responsibility for the ethical behavior of the entire world. We have a whole group here doing Ho'oponopono. They're coming every single, I guess it's every other week, right? Every 2 weeks. Thank you, forgive me, I'm sorry. Taking responsibility for everything that's ever happened since the beginning of time in the collective consciousness, knowing that we're going to be handing a treasure to our grandchildren that'll be far more powerful than maybe what we were handed. We're doing the clean up work. That's the manifestation I'm interested in. I want to just give you, we talk about our mission statement at Unity North a lot, maybe not as much as I'd like to, but we have a whole set of values. And we never talk about those. I'm going to invite you to embody these values as we put them up on the screen right now. This is what this congregation, as a collective ethos, a collective consciousness, says is the reason we come here. Everything else beyond these values is icing on the cake. Talks, the music, the classes, the dialogues, the hugs, all of it is icing on the cake of this as the foundation of our house. Let's say it together. Unconditional love. Pause. Breathe that in. That's why you're here. Together, acceptance. Together, community. Together, diversity. Again, spiritual. And then finally, these are the go-tos. These are what is informing this experience. You, as a spiritual seeker and a member of this congregation, whether you're a member or not, you're part of the family. These are the things that we say are important. I'm asking you this week to look at the collective ethos, and where you see that these things are not happening, bring that energy into the room. Do the clean up work here. We cannot and will not make exceptions to where we find the face of God. I'm going to leave it at that. I hope I didn't get too dangerously close to preaching today. But sometimes a good swift kick upside my hind end is what gets me into gear. This week when you turn on the news, this week when you find yourself in a conversation where it's easy to just jump on board judging anybody, judging a system, judging a person, stop, pause, breathe, and unclutter what's going on in your head. Unclutter what's going on in your heart. I'm going to turn this platform over to somebody who's made it her whole career to unclutter. And from the very practical world to the very spiritual world, it's all connected, and she knows this. McPatty Langston is an author in our midst. Can we get her a mic? And I just asked her, she's doing a book signing today right out in the foyer. So when you go out and buy some of Bronker Lee's product, go get a book that McPatty has as well, and to know that these two people are absolutely transforming the planet. Please welcome McPatty Langston.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I need to ask, Who has been at Target in the last month? Raise your hand. Who has been at Target in the last month and walked out with items that were not on their list? Raise their hand. Okay, you're not alone, Unity sisters and brothers, because the number one thing that Mr. and Mrs. Target are thinking about is how to get your money. Oh yeah, and they're doing a really good job of it. Who doesn't love going to Target? Okay, there's about 3 of you. But the thing about Target that I really admire is that you walk down the aisles at Target, everything's in order. It's the ethos of the peace and positivity, and that's what excites me about Target. And I'm sure that Mr. and Mrs. Target think about that with you as well. And there's a Starbucks and there's fast food, and all these things are factors in why you were purchasing things from Target. Americans love buying stuff. Anyone here? Yeah. Consumerism is a big part of the ethos of the American culture. Bringing things in our lives because we think they will make us feel better has led to the overcrowding of our offices, our homes, but more importantly, our spirit and our mind, just from stuff, because everything around you has energy, and all that energy gets inside of you, and it blocks you from whatever you really want to do. What is clutter? Many people think clutter is trash in the back seat of your car. It's laundry that's littered around your home, maybe magazines, books, but clutter is so much more. It is not supporting your best self. That is what clutter is. It's just not physical stuff. It is negative ideas and toxic relationships. This is all inclusive with clutter. Clutter did not accumulate overnight. It takes a long time and one throw pillow too many and binging on that one more Netflix at 3 a.m. And then sometimes by the time that you realize it, you are so over your head with stuff, and your time management sucks too. So you know what I'm talking about. But no one here has to live like this anymore. Attachment and resistance are the 2 biggest roadblocks to decluttering. They're so important that the first 2 chapters of my book, I actually wrote about these 2 subjects. People resist change, even if it's positive, because of fear. People get attached to stuff because of living in the past. Last week, I was at a woman's home, and I was looking in all her stuff, and she had a corsage, and she's 60 years of age. A couple of weeks ago, I went to another person's house, and they had Easter baskets and baby clothes, and their son is 40. But the number one thing I see is women in their closets that have clothes that they were in high school that they still think they're going to wear, and they're size 5, and now they're size 18. I mean, come on, people. And you wonder why you have so much stuff. Really. Because that is the past, and now we're living currently. You need to come to terms with emotional and mental aspects of decluttering to pave the way to get rid of the physical mess. The ethos of decluttering, the holistic journey, is not just a series of chores. It's a spiritual journey of getting to the next level of not having the importance of stuff, of not having the importance of Mr. and Mrs. Target telling us and dictating to us what we should be buying. Letting go of what does not honor us, we will be able to rise to a higher and more prosperous energy level where we are clear in mind, in body, in spirit. In my book, Magically Make Organize, I also talk about the most common aversions to organizing and explain the McOrganizing method of developing systems to deal with your physical stuff. I include mindful meditations to guide you through the process at your own pace. Changing the spirit of anything is a process that can be long and challenging, but you are not alone in the process of decluttering. Your sisters and brothers are right here at Unity. They've all been to Target just like you. If you need any extra assistance or friendly guide along the way, please feel free to reach out to me for support. However you begin your journey, always remember to breathe. Take a moment. Breathe in and exhale all clutter in your mind right now. Take one step at a time, and then you too can clear clutter for clarity. I'd love to see you after the service in the foyer. I have two really awesome kids with me, and maybe you'd like to talk about your organizing journey and purchase a book. Namaste.
Thank you, McPatty. Oh. We got to get rid of that mic. It's cluttering up the podium here. Here's the reality. Why would we talk about this on a day that we're talking about ethos? Because we're about cleaning house. There is a collective system that is operating at the point of you. It's showing up in your house. It's showing up in your closets. It's showing up in your mind. We're going to go into meditation and begin the process of decluttering those collective thoughts that maybe came from grandparents, teachers of the past. We're letting those thoughts go. Come on up, Bronker. And I'm going to invite you to say, I make a greater choice. I make a greater decision. I'm ready to clean house. I no longer want to let the difficulties of the effectual world inform what is happening at the level of cause. And so Bronker's going to lead you in a meditation. I'm going to invite you to be fully open, to be fully receptive to the clearing that can happen here. And when you do a clearing, you create a space for a different energy to come in. Allow that to happen as the lights come down. Do we have a song, or are we just going to go right into it? Right into it. All right, everyone take a deep breath. You're in good hands.
Thank you, Richard. I invite you to feel your feet planted firmly on the ground, feeling the connection to the earth, extending that feeling all the way down into the soil, feeling your body relax and tuning into your breath. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth in a slow, smooth, rhythmical fashion as these words wash over you. And I invite your eyes to close. And as you continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth in a slow, smooth, rhythmical fashion, I invite you to visualize your heart, your mind, and your spirit connected in harmony. There's a connection there. You have a symphony inside of you. Feel the harmony between your heart, your mind, and your spirit. Feel them really being in tune. What's the color? What's the texture? What's the feeling of that? The sensation? Maybe it's warm, comfortable, beautiful. Imagining that your body, mind, and spirit is in tune so that you can then go out into the world and play beautiful music with others as we show up here, walking into this space, bringing our instrument, harmonizing with the community, with that collective consciousness here, and then taking that out into the world with those interactions that we have with the barista at the coffee shop, with the people you're driving with on 285. Feeling that harmony, feeling that love, feeling that sense of being in tune and spreading that vibration with intentionality. Again, the color. What's the color of that harmony? When you're truly in tune with yourself, what is that music you can play with other people? Now I invite you to travel back in time in your mind to one of the first positive memories you had when you were a child. One of the first positive memories you had when you were a kid. Maybe it was a feeling of creativity, a feeling of joy, of happiness. And I invite you to welcome that sensation into your body, into your mind, your heart, and your spirit. It's here with you now. It's part of you. It's who you are at the core. It's your essence. And breathing into that feeling and imagining you're bringing that essence, that sensation, that color to the forefront of everything you do in life. To the way that you interact with that barista, to the way that you drive your car, to the way that you interact with your peers, coworkers, family members. That authenticity, that essence, that true way of being for you. Truly in tune with yourself. And continue to breathe into that feeling, anchor that feeling into you. Know that that is you. And as you take one final breath in, exhaling out, I invite you to slowly wiggle your toes, your fingers. And when you're ready, open your eyes, come back to the space, and feel the smile that's on your face right now. That connection.
Greater than the community discovering what it cares about. And then takes the action based upon those ideas when nobody is watching. What is the color of the rock that you stand on? Think long and hard about it this week. And when the argument begins, be the vibration of something more beautiful and profound. Okay, I'm done meddling for the week. Namaste. We have a board member with us, Vilma. We got to teach her to turn the microphone on before. We want to hear this beautiful Peruvian voice. She's going to be doing our announcements. Vilma, all yours.
Hello, everybody. A magnificent spiritual community at Unity North. Thank you so much. And thank you for this opportunity that now I have this time to tell you about all these activities that Unity have, this beautiful place. Okay, so waiting for the, oh, good. So annually meeting, March 31st. So if there are any member that they didn't have the time to go and renew your membership, we love you to go and do it because this is very important to us. And also, I really appreciate that everybody go and review the magnificent humans, beautiful candidates in there. So you need to know more about them. You need to know and talk to them. This is a beautiful people. Everything is online. And also review the proposed by law change, and this is in online too. So everybody are invited to the meeting, but in order to have a discussion or vote, you have to be a member. I am sorry about that, but that is the beautiful thing. So maybe it's good that everybody will be a little more member, see, to do this beautiful teaching that Richard do every month to be a member. Next is the pre-chapel training. So this is a beautiful, I am part of this group, and this is amazing. If you like to continue to growing spirituality and transform your life, I invite you to be part of this. It's going to be April 5th and 6th, and our prayer chapel always holds sacred space during the service. So this is a very great opportunity that everybody are interested in. So please, you can contact Diana or Diana or Kim Gayson. So about the attending to this semi-annual training. So the other thing is so beautiful, the beach condo raffle. So Jenny Scott, this beautiful person, donate this. She's so, I think she's over there. So thank you, Johnny. So she offered this raffle for a rent 1 week in this beautiful beach. So it is $50 a ticket. If you want to go to the Holy Ground Cafe, there are a table in there. You can buy many tickets you wanted. The winner is going to be announced in the annual meeting. So the other beautiful thing is Unity go to Spain. It's amazing. Every year, Unity have this beautiful ministry, and they prepare these trips. So beautiful. The last year, I have the opportunity to go with Diana to Machu Picchu and many other, and that was amazing. So this is Spain, and if you want to have a little more information, you can talk with Joanne Perry and Linda McGrew in the Holy Ground Cafe. So there are more information in there.
Vilma, can you say in Spanish for us, if you go to Spain, your life will be changed forever?
Si tú vas a España, tu vida se transformará para siempre.
So Joanne and Linda are
Joanne
right
and
here.
Linda.
Please see them, and there's a meeting this Friday. I hope you can join us.
Yes, and we are going to have a potluck dinner, so with them, thank you. And the other thing is March events. So March 20, we still continue with journey to embracing wholeness. That is the other beautiful ministry, and I am so happy to be part of this group too. So they return to our wholeness every Wednesday with this magnificent spiritual guiding this minister, Reverend Richard. And the 23rd, we have the community clean up. Please, we need your hands. So to see this place beautiful, clean, majestic, and perfect, we need your hands. All Unity need your hands. So please go online and sign in there because we like and we count on you. So for March 24, we have the donate blood. So register online, and the big bus always coming here, and we are so happy that a lot of people participate in that. So the other thing, 24, listening the journey continue keeping with a Martin Luther King dream alive through the continued dialogue. So this is very important in helping a lot into our community. So with all these activities, I really appreciate that right now we are going to do our donation. If the player, the
ushers.
the ashes coming down to be part of this prayer. And I invite you to everybody, put your lovely donation here in your heart and feeling that generosity that you have, and we are going to do together the prayer. I am so blessed. I am so prosperous. And it's my great pleasure to share all my prosperity and to share all my blessings. And in the giving, the entire world is blessed. Thank you, God. Amen.
And as baskets come around, thank you, Vilma. You're so adorable. We're going to affirm that through our offering song as we do with I Am So Blessed. Together. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. And we are blessed to have Bronkar back. And before he could come on up. Don't forget, in the foyer, he has product. McPatty's book is out by the door, so visit both of them. And Bronkar is about to bring it home with some more of his musical styling. So please give him a round of applause.
Hey, thanks. So I want to do something that ends on kind of a higher note, so just to bring the energy back up. And that's the cool thing about music. It really is that atmospheric navigator for our lives. It can stimulate, it can relax, it can hurt, it can heal. It's such a powerful tool. So I hope you're leaving here today understanding the power of that, the power that's within you to take control of that. So this is a little cool piece of technology that I have here that I'm going to be building a live song for you. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Bronco.
Please come say hey out there. I'll be hanging out. I got a couple of albums. I got an instrumental handpan album and guided visualizations album, fun stuff. So come say hey. And I also have a free thing for you to take, a free guided visualization for you to take home if you come say hey to us as well.
You're a rock
So,
star.
thank you.
Thank you for answering my call for saxophone
I know,
today.
yes, and
Beautiful,
saxophone.
beautiful. Please stand and join hands and join in consciousness with Imani as she gives thanks. She gives thanks for what... We give thanks that Ryan's going to soften the piano so that we can hear Imani pray. Go ahead. There you go.
Oh, I was wondering, should I dance or not? Anyway, join me as I give in gratitude for the abundance that we receive in this church. And we give it in joy, knowing that the work will be done and it will return to us triple-fold. And also join with me as we hold consciousness with those that have asked for prayer, knowing that their true self is whole and complete. And we accept that as gospel. Amen.
Okay, and we're going to end with the peace song. We know that we are the peace. We stand for peace. We stand for joy and love. So we're going to take that out into the world today with our song. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, and we all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever I am, God is.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with you and you and you and you. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next Sunday.